What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Sunday Drive. Now, for those of you who do not know, I am not a full-time YouTuber. I wish I was. I am a full-time auto mechanic, though. A professional technician. And today we're going to talk about how being a professional mechanic has sort of changed how I work on cars and how I work on my builds and all that stuff. Now, before I was an auto mechanic, I worked on my own cars for about 4 years. And in those 4 years, I basically taught myself how to work on cars. I had no one to guide me, no one to show me the ropes. I just sort of had to get in and figure it out, right? And I would, depending on what I was doing, I would probably have my hands on my car working on it maybe at most 2 times a week. Even sometimes, some months I maybe would only work on it 1 time a month. You know, so it was pretty staggered. It wasn't like I was consistently working on it. I would really only work on it when I need to work on it. Now, I did get comfortable in those 4 years working on them, but being a mechanic, I'm working on them all the time now. It's what I do. I've been a mechanic for about a year, and for the last year, I've been holding a wrench in my hand for 9 hours a day for 45, sometimes 50 hours a week. So it has definitely gotten me much more comfortable holding a wrench. And because there are other technicians there, they have sort of taught me different ways and different approach methods to go about doing a job and to working on a car. So it's definitely gotten me much more comfortable with working on cars as general. You know, just having time with the wrench definitely improves. Now, another thing it did is it got me more comfortable kind of on a broader spectrum and rounded me out as a technician. Before, when I was working on my cars, I was working on my cars. They were E36s, and so I became very good at working on E36s. And you know, every now and then I would work on a friend's car or a family's car, so I would very, very rarely be working on a car that was not an E36. Now, being a technician, my entire professional career, I haven't even touched an E36. At work, it's all Camrys and Toyotas and Hondas and Nissans and Fords and Chevys, whatever, just general cars, you know? So it's gotten me a lot more fluent as a mechanic just working generally on cars and not so much E36s, which has definitely helped as a whole. Before, when I would work on a car that wasn't an E36, I kind of went into it a little hesitant just because I wasn't comfortable working on non-E36s. And now I just sort of go in, and it allows me to work on cars that I haven't worked on before much more confidently and much more fluently. Another thing it's done is improved time. I can do jobs faster now and work on cars and get cars fixed quicker. Because that's kind of the thing. We need to get cars in and out of the shop as quickly as we can for profits or whatever the fuck. And so being a fast technician is kind of a key to that, and it's definitely rubbed off, and I'm now faster at working on cars and doing jobs, which is good. So I think it's improved me a lot, surface level. And I mean that by, I do basic maintenance. I do oil changes, we do fluid exchanges, we'll do cooling system rebuilds, we'll do timing belts, things like that. And I think as far as pushing my skills to the limit, it hasn't even done any of that, because at my house I do motor rebuilds, I do cylinder head gasket jobs, I do auto to manual swaps. I do things that are genuinely really big jobs, and we don't do any of that at the shop. So while it has refined my technique, I definitely think overall skill has improved, but my ability to do really in-depth and difficult jobs really hasn't changed that much. Being more comfortable and being more knowledgeable about wrenching has not only helped me work on my cars, but it also helps you guys through the DIYs. I feel that my DIYs are much more thorough now than they were when I first started, simply because I'm more knowledgeable and more comfortable. Now, another thing that it's done is changed how I go about fluid exchanges, and I think it kind of changed it for the worse, simply because being a mechanic, again, time is a thing, right? So we need to get cars done as quickly as possible. So a lot of tools and machines that we do use are designed to be quick and efficient, and it kind of sucks because I don't have them at my house. It's kind of made me a little bit spoiled, I will say. For example, a brake flush. If you want to do a brake flush at your house, you got to get your car up on stands, you take all the wheels off, you open up the master, top it off with fluid, you have someone in the car pumping the pedal, they hold the pedal, you got another guy, or maybe even you, back at one of the calipers, crack the bleed screw, wait for the pressure to stop, and then close it. Your friend pumps again, And it's this whole process until new fluid comes out, then you move to the next caliper. I think last time I bled brakes at my house, it took me maybe like half an hour, 45 minutes to do the whole thing, maybe even longer. But at the shop we have a bleeding tool, and all it does is it hooks up to the master reservoir with a little cap, and it pressurizes and puts new fluid in. And so then it pressurizes all of the brake lines, and you just put a bleed bottle on the brake caliper, crack the bleed screw, and it just constantly flows pressure out. And so what that means is I can bleed an entire car by myself in less than 10 minutes, which is cool, but then I go back home and I don't have that at my house, and so it kind of frustrates me knowing that there are better options and quicker options and better ways to get it done than doing it the old-fashioned way. And in that aspect, I'm kind of spoiled, and it kind of does make me mad. Same thing with like cooling system bleeding. If you've ever bled the cooling system on an 836, you know, you got to jack up the front of the car, you fill the reservoir up with coolant, you turn the car on, you blast the heater, and you sit there and wait for the level to drop, and then you keep adding coolant, then the thermostat opens and the level drops even more, and you add more, and then it's maybe like a 25-30 minute process. Well, we have a vacuum venturi tool. You just hook it up where the radiator cap would be, you hook a compressed air line up to it, and it pulls vacuum on the entire cooling system. And then once it has completely pulled vacuum on it, you take a little hose that's attached to the tool, stick it in a big old jug of coolant, flip a little switch, and that vacuum in the motor pulls the coolant up into the engine. So what that means is you don't have to turn the heater on, you don't even have to turn the car on, and it will bleed and top off the reservoir completely in like 5 minutes. It's like stupid quick and stupid efficient, and just like nobody has those tools, you know? So not having those tools kind of irks me, you know? And when I first was learning to do this shit, it was freaking incredible. I was like genuinely amazed that that tool was a thing, because nobody ever tells you about that. That's like, there's a lot of things that are in the automotive industry that I've noticed that are kind of like standard, but nobody really outside of it knows, which is kind of weird. Another one is I work on lifts all the time, like actual car lifts, which is super freaking nice, and yet I don't have any of those at home. Like, for instance, doing the auto to manual conversion. That would have been like so much easier with a full-size car lift, but instead I did it on jack stands, because I knew that's how most of you guys would be doing it. So made the DIY series a little bit more genuine. There's a pretty good chance I probably could have done the swap on an actual car lift like that, but I didn't want to do it. Aside from that, I think being a technician has really just overall improved my ability to work on cars, which is good. I definitely think the pros outweigh the cons, because I like being a good, well-rounded tech. And it helps with the builds. Alright, I will see you guys the next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep it fresh, and I will see you guys later.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost.